International Relations Master's Group at Coventry University, currently visited some multilateral institutions that operate in the field of international relations. The main aim of the visit was to compare these institutions, assessing the current major challenges they face operating in the field of international relations. Lovelyn reports.
The International Criminal Court in The Hague, also known as the ICC, has been part of the global justice system since 2002. Its purpose is to prosecute and bring to justice those responsible for the worst crimes, such as genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. As the ICC is an international institution, one of the main challenges faced is communication, as trying to find a translator to translate to more than one language can result to a delay in trials. One of the examples highlighted in the field trip was in the case of Abdallah Banda. Evidential material for the benefit of the accused has delayed the trial for several years, therefore taking steps to translate at significant cost. It is also quite likely that the Banda challenges are likely to feature in several other cases in the coming years, and state parties are already complaining about the court's mushrooming budget. Outside the courtroom, the ICC is also hard-pressed to communicate and connect with affected communities in a language which they understand, and this is something that the ICC cannot ignore. Another challenge that was highlighted in the field trip was based on the victim and witnesses. This is also a challenge because it can be quite difficult to get the victims or witnesses to participate in trials. This is due to the fact that victims and witnesses may want to forget the case and do not want to participate in trials. An example of this was a crime investigation in Uganda involving Dominic Ongwen. Due to emotional conflict, the witness was unable to testify on his case, and the court was unable to establish evidence, which took further years in investigation. This example was also highlighted by the speaker. The next institution that was visited was the Greenpeace International Organization. Greenpeace organization campaigns to defend the world and promote peace by investigating, exposing, and confronting environmental abuse, and also championing environmentally responsible solutions. One of the challenges the Greenpeace face is identified in this institution, where in a global scope, which requires cooperation of other companies. This is a challenge, as getting corporations and other organizations to cooperate with its ideology can be proven difficult at times. Another challenge faced is cooperation between the governments. An example of this is the African governments. Greenpeace representatives in Africa has highlighted that one of the main challenges faced in Africa today involves lack of funding from African governments and corporations. An example of this is the forests of the Congo Basin, which is a vital resource for millions of people. They play a crucial role in the fight against global warming. The challenges in this cannot be underestimated. Greenpeace Africa spends the majority of time highlighting to Congo Basin governments that their laws are not properly being enforced and showing them the social and environmental consequences if they are not. The next institution that was visited was the European Commission. The European Commission is an institution of the European Union.
We need mechanisms for dialogue, for exchange, for cooperation, for legal instruments, so we never repeat these mistakes again. So the United Nations is formed, the International Monetary Fund is formed, the World Bank is formed. There's a movement towards internationalism.
Is responsible for proposing legislation, implementing decisions, holding the EU treaties, and managing the day-to-day business of the EU. One of the challenges that was highlighted in the trip is restoring European Commission's reputation after its poor handling of both Brexit and migration. Another challenge is that the European Commission is currently facing greater difficulty in providing general solutions in due time. due to lack of money control and ineffective regulatory bodies. There is also a growing need to anticipate change to be embedded in policy, as mentioned by the speaker. This is crucial in order to be able to respond to solutions before they occur. A current example of this is Brexit. Therefore, embedding change would also shape the future and build mutual understanding and common vision, especially due to globalization. Next institution that was visited was the European Parliament. The European Parliament is the Parliament of the European Union. EU citizens elect its members once every 5 years. Together with the Council of Ministers, it is the law-making branch of the institutions of the Union. Henry Wasong, who was the Speaker at the European Parliament, identified language translation as the current challenging issue at the Parliament level. Advising language policy at the European Parliament with a new view to enabling a transformation of present challenges into opportunities can serve as an input for shaping the vision for the EU in the future. Another challenge that the EP faces is the length of time taken to formulate policies. This therefore leads to lack of long-term vision and strategy. Another challenge are challenges relating to delegated legislation, as the European Parliament receives a significant amount of information about comitology activities and is involved in the new procedure of legislation delegation to the Commission. Therefore, monitoring this is a complex task. The final institution that was visited was the European External Action, also known as EEAS. The European External Action was created about 6 years ago, with the main focus of trade, development and enlargement. Michael Mann, who heads the Strategic Communication Division at the EU External Action Service in Brussels, mentioned two most current challenges the EEAS is facing. First, he mentioned that EEAS continue to have less monitoring with many EU states in the area of governance. As a result, many member states are having an inefficient and incurrent European foreign policy, therefore creating avenue for them to influence it. Another challenge he mentioned is the relationship between the EEAS and the European Commission regarding responsibilities, immigration and financial issues, which the institution is still battling to resolve. Because of these challenges, the EEAS performance remains inefficient, although findings about these challenges this year offers solutions for many of the current challenges in the aspect of relations, communication and monitoring between the EEAS and the EU member states. In conclusion, there are various challenges the ICC, Greenpeace, European Commission, European Parliament and the EEAS face as being a multilateral institution operating in the field of international relations. To overcome these challenges observed in the trip, we as a group believe that the most important aspect that could be tackled in all these institutions is to focus more on its external efforts and contribution rather than internal efforts. For example, if the ICC and EU focus on encouraging more states to join their institutes, this would increase the funds and relationship between states around the world. Also acknowledge the fact that these institutions are currently creating mechanisms to overcome these challenges, as well as prevent these challenges from hindering their success. An example of this is the ICC, with the mechanisms that it has developed to make the victims and witness be safe and confident to actually testify in court, such as blurring out their faces, altering their voices. And in terms of the EU, more states are still applying to join the EU regardless of Brexit. Thanks for listening.